Comic Corner, where people read comics in a corner. That's not true, but I'm committed to the song now. Hi everyone, April here. Welcome to my channel and welcome to another Comic Corner where I review, suggest, or simply ramble about comic books. If you like fantasy, then today is your day because I have 3 fantastic stories that I think you will enjoy. So let's get started. First up from Vault Comics, we have She Said Destroy. This was written by Joe Corallo and the art is done by Liana Kangas. This is set in a galaxy that used to be filled with gods who derived their power from the faith and devotion of their followers. But the sun goddess Bridget has decided that she wanted absolute dominion over everything. So she has set about to conquer and convert the entire galaxy, killing off most of the gods in the process. But one goddess still remains, the Morgan, the goddess of death. She has a strong and devoted following called the Witches of Fae, who have used their powers of magic to cast spells in order to protect them and shield them from Bridget's gaze. However, Bridget has grown so powerful that they can no longer hide and they have to fight. In their efforts to prepare, they send one of their own to the Morgan's temple to ask for guidance. And the Morgan only offers one word: destroy. I like stories that kind of play juxtaposition with light and dark and good and evil. This has only had 2 issues out so far, but Bridget, the goddess of the sun, is not what she appears to be, where she often proselytizes to people that they need to come into the light. She herself has shielded most of who she is from her followers. They have no idea that she has absolutely no true core faith or belief in other than absolute power, and will probably not even reciprocate any of the love and affection she receives. However, the Morgan, who is the goddess of death, which in philosophical terms, the great unknown and inevitable, we don't know what her true intentions are or how she feels about her devoted following. But I get a sense that if you're bringing a fight to her door, you better be ready to scrap. I think this series will have about 4 or 5 issues, and so far the writing is going on at a good pace. Like I said, we don't know a lot about the Morgan, but we do get a nice full sense of Bridget and her intentions. So there is I believe a true reveal coming up in the next issues. As for the artwork, I think it's beautiful. I love this watercolor format that's awash in these beautiful rainbow of pastel colors. It lends to the fantasy of it all. It's simple in its design, but the devil is in the details, so keep an eye out for that. Like I said before in my last couple of reviews in regards to Vault products, I think they're putting out a nice steady flow of quality books with great storytelling. And they also did another vintage variant cover for this series. So for issue number 1, they did an homage to Saga. They used the same color palette, the typeface, and they have the Morgan dressed like Alana from the Saga series. As a Saga fan, stan, trash, I could not pass this up. So they had me from the word go. I also think that it gives a new reader a sense of what's inside, because similar to Saga, this is a high fantasy kind of space, maybe not opera, but definitely adventure story. So if you like Saga, I think you'll really enjoy this one as well. It's not as robust as Saga is, but it definitely has those great fantasy flares. Next up from Image Comics, we have Blackbrid. This is written by Sam Humphries and the art is done by Jen Bartel. This is again a fantasy romance story with a healthy dose of magical realism. In the beginning, we are introduced to a set of sisters from Los Angeles, Nina and Marissa. In their youth, during a massive earthquake, they experience or come in contact with a magical being or a magical beast. But before the night is over, tragedy strikes and they lose their mother. Since that night, Nina has been living in what is perceived to be a state of arrested development. She has lived in the shadow of her perfect sister and had to deal with the indifference and outright neglect of her own father. One night, Nina and her sister get into a huge fight, and in the middle of it, the magical beast appears again. But this time, it takes Marissa and leaves Nina behind. But now Nina is completely convinced she isn't a crazy baby, sets out to find her way into the magical world and to become a part of it and use its powers to rescue her sister. But as all stories like this go, all is not what it appears to be, and Nina has to confront the lies from her past, the truth of her present, and magic being real, and it ain't easy. First and foremost, I want to talk about Nina. I think Sam Humphries has done a fantastic job of flushing out a character. You really relate to her. You get a sense of her past, her pain, and why she is so obsessed about finding a place where she feels she fits in. And you get a true sense of all of the other characters, her father, her sister, the potential love interest in Clint. He's a hot mess, y'all. But again, he's another character who may not be who people think he is. Let's talk about the artwork. Jim Bartell has created this beautiful, bold, luminescent atmosphere with the color palette. The line strokes is just gorgeous. Very similar to what you could find in Jamie McKelvey's work in The Wicked and the Divine. I think this style is very of the moment, used with fantasy series that definitely deal with magical realism, offering these colors, these images that are quite present in our real world. You see people with beautiful, bright colored hair and wearing touches of neon. Makes it so easy for you to kind of dissolve into it, like The Matrix. This series is in current production, and I will definitely be one who is continuing with it until it comes to its conclusion. The Wicked and the Divine is soon coming to an end, so this will definitely help you fill that gap. And saving the best for last, again from Image Comics, we have Sleepless. This was written by Sarah Vaughn from Alex and Ada fame, and the art is done by Lila Del Dusa, who is the writer of Afar. I did a review on that a few months back. This is another high fantasy romance about Lady Peppina, aka Poppy, and her sleepless knight, Sir Cyrenaic. Lady Peppina is the daughter of the King of Harbony and his mistress. But the king has recently died, and because Peppina is not a legitimate heir, the throne goes to the late king's brother, Cerno. However, a lot of people in the kingdom believe that Peppina should have been placed upon the throne. Some don't believe the circumstances of her birth should have made her ineligible to be queen. But Poppy isn't an ambitious woman. All she wants is to live in peace and solitude on her estate and to be able to travel freely from her home in Harbony to her mother's home country. Due to his newness on the throne and the dissension amongst some of the people, new King Serrano wants Lady Peppina to stay at court as a show of her respect and his allegiance to his sovereignty. However, several attempts have been made on Peppina's life, but they have all been thwarted by her wonderful, glorious Sleepless Knight. The Sleepless Knights are an order of knights who have taken a vow to protect their patron. So they are enchanted with the spell, so they will never fall asleep and never tire. But as Peppina's life is becoming more and more at risk, Cyrenaic is beginning to experience a condition called the drift, where the mind begins to wander and they can't differentiate between the past and the present. As Cyrenaic's condition worsens, he becomes very anxious. He wants to do what he can to protect Peppina as long as he is able, and he devises a very risky and possibly problematic scheme to ensure her safety. But when Lady Peppina learns about the lengths Cyrenaic is willing to go to, she devises a plan herself in order to protect them both, but she has to make the ultimate sacrifice. Oh my gosh. Let me just say, this story was everything. It has 2 volumes and I devoured it in less than an hour. This is a well plotted out, well paced, and well developed story with beautiful artwork. They really hone in on that Shakespearean feel that this story has. The writing and the alliteration and the artwork, then the color palette, all of that lends to a very kind of historical fantasy feel. Very different from what we got in Blackbrid, that is very contemporary and loud and bold and electric. The relationship between the 2 main characters, Lady Papina and Sir Cyrnac, is just beautifully fleshed out. You feel the angst between them, the unspoken love and devotion, and then when they come together, it is just such a beautiful moment. I also love the diversity at play within this story. Like I mentioned, it's very kind of Victorian or Shakespearean in its design and telling, and yet you have people from various different backgrounds, making a nod to the fact that these major metropolises from the past actually did a lot of trade with other countries and cultures. And despite what some people may believe, there was a lot of diversity within these major cities and these major provinces. I think it's really great that they captured that in this tale. Trust me, there are women from all walks of life who would love to wear a big gown, go to court, and have her back be protected by a devoted knight. This is my favorite thing I have read all year, and I wish there was more, but I kind of liked where they left it off as well. I think it's a great story. If you like high fantasy romance stories that are akin to, let's just say, something like a Wrath in the Dawn from Renee Ahdieh, this is definitely something you should be picking up. So that's it, guys. Those are the 3 fantasy series that I have been reading recently. I have been enjoying all of them, and if you have read any of these, let me know what you think of them in the comments below. And if you want to pick them up, you can always find them on Comixology, but please, 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 if you can, go out to your local comic book shops and support small businesses. Also, if you have very similar fantasy stories that are comics or graphic novels, please leave those in the description below. I would love to learn more about them, and I'm sure some of the other viewers will as well. Again, thank you so much for watching, you guys. I know I am running behind on my Comic Corner reviews, and I am trying to catch up. But thank you so much for watching and sticking with me. I hope you enjoyed this segment. If you want to see more videos like this, please give this one a thumbs up, to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you won't miss future uploads. Thank you guys for watching again. I will see you next time. Have a good one. Bye. And go to your local comic book shops. They need support too.